You are now entering the Thick Goddess Energy Morning Show. We in the building. High priestess in the building, didn't let my fears kill me. Transmuted my pain in that cleanse in the rain. Found out I was working and I conquered my demons. I accepted my purpose and the goddess I became.
So today I have a special guest, Gigi, which of course is my daughter, but I love it that she's on here because we're going to talk about some real life shit today. But for the month of December, I wanted to do women's empowerment. And I really sat back and looked at women in my life that are around me that I just see killing certain things in the game. And I wanted to bring those stories to our audience. And one of the things that I've admired you as becoming a mom, just watching you become a mom, right? But you've been fearless with a few things. And we're going to get into that in a few minutes. So I am Divine Moon Goddess, your host, and Oracle Empress is my co-host. And again, we are talking with Gigi, who is a young mother. I have to remember how old you guys are. It's crazy that I forget your ages now. I'm like, how old are you?
Almost 30.
I don't know if that's just somebody else drop a comment. Really? Like, squeaky toy? Sorry, you guys. Apparently the dogs want to play with those squeaky toys in the back. So I don't know if it's all mothers that once you get to like a certain age, you just check out and maybe you just forget like what the hell, because you know the baby is 24 and it's like the baby's 24. And she'll remind me that she's 24. I'm like, oh yeah, damn, how old are you? Okay. So anywho, approach 30, was still young mom. One of the things I wanted to talk about was, you know, wanting to be a mom and becoming a mom are two very different things, right? Yes. So let's talk about that. Give us your perception on the before and then pregnant and then after.
Man, I wanted to be a mom forever, like forever. And when we found out we were pregnant, you know, I told Cole, and Cole was like, great. Because, you know, it was a shock. It was like after, you know, after New Year's, and we were like, I said, no, there's no way. But it's, gosh, like I had like how I thought about being pregnant, me having my first baby. I literally could tell you, Ellie, my bad. I don't know if you guys can see my kid.
We can see you. We can see you.
I can't see you guys. There we go. Okay. I just like had how I pictured it. Like I can picture, you know, I'm gonna be like this with my baby and just doing all that. Like it's just like how I played it all out. And during my pregnancy, never thought about how what it would be like carrying my baby. It was more like I just thought that I was gonna be this immaculate, like I got my baby. Man, I pulled the fuck out of myself, excuse my language. I did. My pregnancy he was like he is now, constantly moving. My sleep was horrible. I was going through issues, having to get my blood checked once a week. I was extremely anemic. I had carpal tunnel. It was not the greatest. I was in the hospital after having him because we went in Monday, did not have birth. We went in Sunday, didn't give birth to him Monday. Because he wasn't coming out. He got his head stuck cocked the other way, so they had to do a C-section. And I was in the hospital for a week instead of being able to go home because my bowels wouldn't wake up. I was like constipated. I wasn't holding. I wasn't eat. I was like throwing up everything I was drinking. It was horrible. But after I feel like no offense to other women, I really felt like I handled it really well for a first time mom. Like it just instantly knew no matter what, how much pain I am, I'm gonna do it. I never, even when I got home, like my mom, my other mom was with me for a whole month. I never just thought like, Mom, I need your help. Can you come help me? Can you do this? I just like, I got this. I got it. I'm gonna do it. It just felt like I've had him forever. That's how it felt when I had him. It felt like he was just, this is happening. This was meant to be. And it was so weird and didn't go as planned as I wanted, because like I said, I had this thought how my baby's gonna be. He completely is the opposite of what I expected.
Totally different. That's the switch of motherhood kicking in, because you don't really realize that the instincts of motherhood just boom, you're all in. Like, and I can't say that for every mom, because I think there are some moms that are just kind of like lost. But for the most part, I think it's just that instinct that kicks in and it's like, boom, here goes mom. But such a difference from your perception of what you think motherhood's going to be, and then like what it is. And even like afterwards, like just going through the months afterwards of him and his schedule and his sleep and the neediness and we're going to talk about breastfeeding, because one of the things that I've loved is that you have been all out with breastfeeding. Like, it doesn't matter where we were at or where we've been. She pops the boob out, doesn't give two shits of who's there, which we know even today in 2021, we know that there's a problem with that. We know that people still have an issue with breastfeeding out in public, like it's some type of horrible thing about it. But I love you did a photo shoot. You did a photo shoot of breastfeeding him, and I was just like, oh, my baby's out there, like, Hannah, like, get it. It's one of those things. So kind of just tell us what made you just really like, no, fuck this, like, I need to be out here, I need to be showing that this is normal.
It honestly, it just was like, I was nervous in the beginning, or like when I first had him, because I my boobs are huge, but I wasn't pumping enough, so I was scared that I wasn't going to get any, I wasn't going to breastfeed. I wasn't going to be able to. It just wasn't coming out as fast as I thought. But the lady, it was funny, the lady that the lactation nurse came in, she's like, you have beautiful nipples. Like, beautiful nipples. He's going to latch on. Like, no, you have the perfect nipples for breastfeeding. I was like, oh, okay.
You're like, okay.
But I just wasn't there yet when it came to like breastfeeding. Definitely in the hospital, I was so exhausted. I was in there for a week. Cole would give him to me when he was crying, but kept sitting him like exactly on my stomach. That pain of getting. I was just like, wasn't really all there for the breastfeeding in the beginning. I really wasn't, until I got home, and he still co-sleeps with me. But we got home, and I'm a still sleeper, so it just got easier for me to just, instead of like getting up, because I was so much in pain, I would have him just there on the boob. And it just became so, just like, honestly, I was exhausted. I didn't care how I looked. He was just constantly on the boob. I feel like I never really had a break in the first 3 months. He was just on the boob. So when we finally got to go out, and I did have like a cover, hot. I think it was more like, oh God. Like, I think I was having like an anxiety attack too. It was like this, like, like, because it was so new. Like, I used to just be me, but then I have this baby on me and my boobs, and he just wants it, and I have like all this stuff covering me. And I was like, oh my God, I can't do this. Like, I couldn't breathe. So, and it was like, it was the weirdest thing. I just literally couldn't breathe. So I felt. And before I even had him, I was always wearing I was like Rawness. Like, I would go out,
right.
whatever. So I was already used to the, like, hey. So I just wasn't so used to all that. So I just literally like, fuck it. Boob out. He hungry? He wants it. I still do it to this day. We in the grocery store, he's in the cart, little thing, and he's like, I want boob. And I'm pushing him with the boob out. Like, that's just how I feel like. I don't care who's looking at me. My baby's cranky. He's hungry. This is his comfort. I'm like, give it to him.
Right.
It's boob. It's a boob.
Now, Oracle, did you breastfeed at all?
I breastfed Amani. So she was my second, and I was 16 when I had her. So I did it for the first 3 months. Just because I wanted to give her that. I wanted to try it. I felt it was really important. I didn't like it though.
No.
It wasn't I was 16. I was still in school. So luckily they had a daycare downstairs, and either I could go down there or they would bring her to me. And see, I wasn't like her, and I'm still not. I'm just going to be 100% real. I hate to see women pull their titty out. Like, I'm always like, why can't you just cover yourself? Like, dang, you know, my kids are looking. I'm like, oh Lord.
Right.
So I wasn't like that. I did it in school, but I would cover myself. But I only did it for the first 3 months because I felt like it was super important to give her that bit of nutrition that I could give her. And then I just got overwhelmed where between work and school and home and babysitters, it got too much to try to pump, and I'm here or I'm there. I have to go to work, and now I got to pump, and my titties are full, and now I got wet marks on my shirt, and I'm like, so I did it for the first 3 months. She was the only one that I did do it with. I'm really glad that I did it. She doesn't get as sick as often the other ones did. A lot of those kind of benefits. Really happy that I did. I thought about doing it with the twins, but they were twins, and I was like, there's no way in hell I'm going to have 2 kids on boobs. That's not going to happen. So I didn't do it with the twins, the last ones. But I'm like her, where as far as sleeping goes, it was like a savior to be able to pull my titty out and just go right back to sleep. And make the bottle and do this and do that.
It is.
Now that once they get teeth, though, I'm like, I'm trying to figure out how you still do it.
And like I said, it's a lot. Either bottle feeding, breastfeeding, it's a lot. It is. I'm still even going to work, and I'm still having to pump sometimes and pump and dump and stuff like that. I get frustrated because he has this habit of going from one boob to the next. He'll hop from when he's sleeping or he's tired. The way for him to fall asleep is like literally playing with both of them, and it's annoying. I have to like snap on him sometimes because he likes to grab one nipple while he's on the other, and I'm like, okay, stop. No, I'm tired. And sometimes I do get frustrated with him. I love him, but I do like, okay, we're done, and I push him away. He's crying. I let him cry it out because I mean, at this point now, it's like I do miss just being. I just want to lay down without without the boob, you know.
You have an age limit where you feel like you're gonna cut him off at a certain age.
I do. There's like these moments where I'm like,
in your head at least, have you planned this out at all in your head?
I should be like this. I'm like, I want to cut him off now, but he's not showing any signs. Then I get these moments where sometimes I come home and he gets picked up by his dad from daycare. He don't even bother to see me. So, or even like whatever, hi mom, like it's nothing. And I'm like, okay, no, I whipped out the boob. Oh mom. So now it's kind of like, oh, this is the only.
Don't manipulate my baby with the boob.
But it's that moment where I'm like, oh, he's ignoring me, so I gotta give him the boob.
No, don't be manipulating my baby with no boob.
But I do. He's not showing any signs that he wants to wean off. He usually uses it as a comfort, and I do it sometimes when I want that that connection with him. But it's a lot. It was definitely a lot the first 6 months with him because I just was like, I don't got my body. I don't got the space. I can't just think of myself any longer. I can't like just go out and do whatever I want anymore. Like it's a whole game changer. Definitely when you're like breastfeeding, because it's not like I can just leave him and they can make a bottle. He actually refused to take the bottle. He took the bottle when I was pumping maybe 3 months. And afterwards he's like, no bottle, boob. I want it from the straight source or we gonna have a fit. We gonna have problems. It was like that. And it was just pretty much like there was no really much break until he started eating solids where I can like, okay, now I can actually go because they'll give him something to eat and stuff like that. And he'll be fine for maybe 2 or 3 hours without the boob. He goes 8 hours now, obviously, because he's at his daycare and stuff like that and completely fine until he's like, okay. So it's more of a, when I get home, get on the boob or nighttime or on the weekends, like just for comfort. So
I would think some of it is like, even if you didn't, you had the pacifier, it's kind of the same thing, that comforting mechanism. It's just the boob. Now, me personally, I am for breastfeeding. I don't care who's breastfeeding. It doesn't bother me. I think, unfortunately, in our culture, we've made it to be like this horrible thing because women's boobs became a sexual tool, but we forget that they are for feeding purposes. They are a part of nutrients and feeding. And
I mean,
so,
in my opinion, that's a turnoff. I mean, Bellamy, I don't know. Just after him, I was like, this is a complete turnoff. Don't
right,
touch.
you're like, it's a game changer after the kids.
I need no, yeah, this is not. This is like a no. Don't start here. You better start somewhere else because this ain't it.
Game changers. Kids will fuck up some shit and they do change it.
Yes.
I remember. Now I did breastfeed with Bracy, and right when I had her, they put her on the boob. Like I was on the fucking table still, and they popped her on the boob. Greedy ass, right after the stomach was eating. But I had a rough time with breastfeeding. Also, I was young. I was about 17 when I had her, and I did have a rough time because that not only that connection, but it's like my boobs started to get very raw, very tender,
Oh yeah.
overly tender, overly sensitive.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember trying to go to the store, and like that moment of being in the store and her screaming. And I remember at the time I didn't have a car, so we were on the bus one time, and she's like so freaking hungry, and I'm just like, okay, just a little bit longer, but you can't really tell the baby like a little bit longer. They're like, no, I want it now. Like, hello, feed me now. And I remember trying to like struggle, to get my boob out of the shirt, to get, to cover myself up. And it's like you're holding a baby, you're trying to cover yourself, you're doing all this other extra shit so other people aren't offended. You know what I mean? And I remember going through that because it's just like that's what you think you're supposed to do. So I commend you on it of just standing in that and saying fuck that, because I just remember a couple places of me trying to hold her, hold my clothes, hold the blanket. And when they start screaming, they're kicking and doing all this extra shit. They're not just sitting quietly waiting for the boob. They're like fucking ridiculous, right? So I do commend you on that of just standing in that power, like no. And that's why I said the photo shoot blew me away of just that, like not like, okay, fuck you guys, here goes my boobs, but just like this is something that's natural. And I think that society should see that more natural and not be so condemning to mothers that choose to breastfeed, and not have it so, oh my God, her boob's out. Because it really is just a boob. It's really for that. That's the purpose.
Honestly, a woman I don't think of my boob like, oh yeah, my boob out, my baby on it. Hey, it's like I'm over it. We are over it. I don't even want to think about the fucking boob half the damn time. Like if I could take these off and just let him have them, I would. Like that's how I'm feeling.
Right. You kind of realize after that that's the purpose. The purpose was all for them. Like that's it. There's like, yeah, it wasn't for me.
Yeah.
One of the other things was that I had noticed was, of course, the body change. Body changes drastically. No matter what we think we're going to do after those kids come, right? We're just going to get back in it. We're going to do whatever. How do you feel about the body change? How you went from pre-baby to pregnant to after baby body, and trying to get into that loving myself how I am now?
That's hard. I don't think I really love myself still.
It's rough. It's rough.
I'm at a stage where I get up at 5:30 in the morning, Monday through Friday, to get him and myself ready. And I was at one point waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning, getting up and working out. And I was like, I'm gonna do this. And I was like, fuck, I like to eat so much. Like it's a comfort thing at this moment. I like to be at work. I sit in a cubicle at work. So it's like I'm sitting there, I'm on the phones, I'm starving, I want a snack. So I was like, forget it. I just need to feel comfortable, just be comfortable in my body right now. I'm not at this point. He's not off the boob. This is time consuming as it is. I don't really have the time. So I'm just like, I'm at this point, like I got to try to accept this now. It's not that I'm trying to fall back in love with my body. I'm just not there yet. It's hard. Definitely, because I just feel like sometimes I don't feel like I have the time to just go take a long shower or pamper myself or anything. Like I have a wedding this weekend with my friends. That's probably the only time I probably get really, really dressed up, because it's a wedding and I don't got him and I'm gonna be able to go all out. But I noticed the change in my hair. A lot of the old products I used to use, I don't take no more. My hair is like really, really dry now.
Yeah.
My skin, I battled with acne for a long time, but I feel like none of my products work any longer. My skin has changed, you know. It's just I just don't feel. Obviously, I don't feel like how I used to be, and I don't think I'm gonna ever feel like how I used to be. I just gotta try to get used to who I am now, and just try to better it as best as I can. But it's very hard. It's like trying to get to know a whole new you.
Right. Because that's what I was gonna say. It's that because you're no longer the same person, and sometimes we want to go back to the old version, right? But that version doesn't exist anymore. So now it's trying to find and love the person you are now, because now you're this new person. You're an older version, and pre-mom and then aftermath mom is so different. And the mom bod is just something that you got to get to a point of realizing and understanding.
What I used to be like, whatever, I don't care, just do whatever. I can't no more. Like, I'm more angry. I feel like I got a little bit of OCD, like when it comes to washing his clothes or my clothes. Like, I don't want people washing them, or how I have his things. Like, I have a thing where, you know, I have a stepdaughter who's a teenager. She touches things, she moves things. It kind of frustrates me. She has a mouth. I want to pop her half the damn time, you know. And I think sometimes I have to like tell myself, like, okay, Gigi, calm down, you know, go home, woosah. Because half the time I go home and murder everybody because I'm just angry, and just certain things. This is not where I used to be. Like, I used to be like, I don't care, whatever. I don't. We'll have whatever there, here and there. Now it's like, why isn't this put away? Why isn't this where it's supposed to be? Why aren't you washing? It's just now I'm just like, no, that's not how I used to. But now it's like 10 times.
Do you think that stems from just all the changes and trying to have some type of normalcy?
Yeah, I think it's a lot to do with I have a whole new little human being with his own crap, and I gotta deal with that. Not just like my things. And I used to only have to deal with pretty much me and Cole's things and Ava's. You know, like what my things was Cole's too. So it was just pretty much doing two people's things at the same time. Right. Now it's like I'm dealing with my things, Cole's things, Ava's things, Bellamy's things, and it's like it's chaotic. And right now we had our own place, but our landlord bought our neighbor's side, got a whole, you know, they're tearing that down, building a whole new house. So we living with Cole's mom. So now I'm in a household where it's his mom's house, but it's like so much stuff everywhere. And obviously, it's not like I can just like, I'm gonna throw this out. We need to get rid of this because this is her house. I gotta respect that. So I can only have little control over this little half of Bellamy's room and then my room, you know. So it's frustrating because I come home that's technically not really my home.
Right.
I stay here because I respect this is her home, but it's I'm at a point where like I wish my baby would have had this area, his own. Like, I wish I can get up and go ready and get ready for work and put him in his own room, but I can't do that. I have to like chase him around the house, trying to get him ready in the morning, get myself ready, getting around people's things and stuff like that. And it's chaotic, and I feel frustrated and angry, and it's like I don't want to be here. Like,
right.
It's a battle right now, and I just like I feel like I just gotta calm it down.
Gotta find some ways to woosah, right? Well, it's kind of hard because Cole still works nights, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that is another thing of having like the two parents, but the two opposite schedules, where he's the night worker and you're the morning worker. So it's not like you guys are able to really co-parent all the time together. So that's a huge part of it. So what is that like?
It's hard because, you know, I feel like like, you know, I told you I have an 11-year-old, and I don't feel like I had made the time for her too, and it hurts. I feel bad because like I when she gets up, she's independent now, so she's like, oh, she goes down, take a shower. She's pretty much doing everything on her own, and it kind of hits me sometimes like, what? Like, I'm not I'm not really involved. I'm not asking her, you want something to eat for breakfast or you want this and that, because I'm trying to get myself ready and him, and I don't even eat anything. And I like dawned on me, oh, I haven't even asked her, did she have anything for breakfast?
Right.
And then it hurts because sometimes I come home and I'm snapping her like, why your homework ain't done? Why this ain't done? But at the same time, I didn't ask her when I got home, like, hey, what is it you need to be working on? Like, what? So it plays. And I realized that about myself. Like, I can't snap on her because I'm not even taking the time to like actually ask her, hey, this is your assignment. This is what you need to be doing.
Right.
And the night was kind of like hard because I have him, and then there's no one really hanging out there besides her grandma, and I can't just leave him by himself. He's a boy. He's getting into everything when it comes to the dog food. You know,
Well, he's
stuff. Yes, everything. And it's hard because I wish we did work on the same like a schedule where okay, Bellamy's at daycare, Ava's in school, he's working days, I'm working days, so we get home, we tag team everything together.
Right.
He has to go to sleep because he drives all night, and when he gets home, it's like I have to go to sleep. So, okay.
Well, the reason why I mention it because a lot of young mothers go through this. They go through this where either sometimes the man are gone, they work far, or you're not there, and then you're kind of left with a lot of the work on your own, and not being. Even though Cole does his kind of now that Bellamy's in school, he kind of gets a break, or he get but before having to take that shift, after all night is kind of rough. I'm pretty sure that was rough on him as well. But so now, because you were a stay-at-home mom, how long were you a stay-at-home mom?
I was a stay-at-home mom for like almost a year. Because I started working a little before Bellamy's birthday in September.
Okay.
Almost a year. And that right there, nobody ever say work a mom because a job it is. It is a job, and it like how I feel like I don't want to offend any other moments, but it feels like it's easier working now, working a job than being at home with him all day. It was a lot. And
I was going to say that. What's it like? Because you go from being this single person who works to this home mom that it's just baby and you day in, day out. And granted, kids we love them, but the day in, day out with your child it's a lot. It's rough.
It was a lot because my mind always just thought of Bellamy. What am I doing for Bellamy? Eating, feeding, pretty much didn't. It was a lot. As I could say, mentally and draining. I feel like being at work now, I have a break. I mean, I'm working, but I have a break. I don't have my baby. My babysitter texts me and say, "Hey, Bellamy ate this and that," and sends me a picture, and that is okay. I get them on weekends, But it's a big help. It's a big help that he is at daycare because I don't have to worry. And I love my babysitter because I don't have to worry. I don't feel like I'm worrying about him and safety. He is perfectly fine. And when he was with me, postpartum depression thing, I was going through that when it came. I'm about to be real. I thought of hurting Bellamy, and I would never do that, but I had thought about doing that. I thought about when we had stairs in my house, dropping him down the stairs, or putting him in the car and like dropping him on the concrete floor because I was exhausted, and it was a scary thought. Like I was really gonna hurt him. Even breastfeeding him, I thought like suffocating him or not moving my boob and him not waking up or rolling over him and just like, and I thought one time to just leave him in the house and leaving and not coming back.
Right. I think a lot of people don't realize that postpartum depression is very real and it hits mothers all over. There's no color lines with postpartum depression. And it's not that you're a horrible person. It's the exhaustion. It's the depression. It's everything that kicks in. It's the change that you're not ready for that just hits you. And it's terrifying. It is really, really, really terrifying. So
it scared the crap out of me that I would think that, like, I would think that to hurt him.
Right.
And I knew in my body, I would never do that. But my mind went there constantly of ways to hurt him. And it just scared the crap out of me.
Right.
And I would pick him up and just hold him and just rock him and just kiss him and like, I love you, talk to him. But my mind was so dark, and I just couldn't stand that part of about me. I couldn't stand it. So it was hard. I think that's one thing that I struggled with being stay-at-home mom, was how my mind worked when it was around him. So working for me, going back to work, it has been a lot easier because I haven't thought that about him.
Right.
I haven't thought that because I have that break. I have someone helping me, someone watching him. He's safe, and I have that break at work. Just me.
Right. I think a lot of now, Oracle, I don't know through what kids that you stayed home or worked, or how did that work out for you with your kiddos?
It's been on and off with all of them. My first two, like I said, I went to school. But I did bring my kids to school with me. I would get up in the morning, a school bus would come and pick me and both of the kids up. My little car seats, I'd be out there. So I had them with me constantly. I got really lucky though, because when I finally had the babies, I went and stayed with my grandparents, and they worked, but my grandma was really hands-on. She was like super early morning riser, so she would come in the room before she'd even wake my kids up. By the time I got up and out of bed, they had breakfast, they were bathed, they were, it was really good. If I wanted to go somewhere, I could go somewhere. I think I kind of got it too good, and that's what I think kind of made me okay with having the second one as a teen mom, because I thought it was really easy. It wasn't until I moved out on my own and ended up with 3 or 4 kids where I was like, oh, fuck. This like, I need grandma again. Like, who does? I see why certain traditions have their mothers and grandparents live with them or come to their house when they have babies. I see why they do that. Where you see a lot of Indian and Asian cultures where the grandma and the mama come and stay with them for like 6 months to a year. I see why they do that now. I've never had the postpartum depression. So for me, it's hard to understand because I've never had depression, period. So it's hard for me to relate with something that I can't, but I've seen it in so many people. And I can't imagine feeling that way about my child. Like, how would I feel as a person if I even had a glimpse of that kind of thought? I would feel like a really shitty ass person. And I feel like nobody talks about it enough. Even when you're in the hospital and things like that, I don't feel like they talk to you about what to look for. Who do you call? Because if you call somebody or you call the hospital or you call the police and you're like, I'm thinking about killing my kid, but I'm not really going to do it. They're going to come and they're going to take your fucking kids. They're not going to help you. So it's like, what do? You try to explain that to a husband or, anything like a husband, a mother, a grandmother. If they've never experienced it, they're going to be like, okay, wait a minute, and then, so I can't imagine like having those. And I don't feel like people talk about that enough with anything. I do feel like for me, the work in school has definitely been a savior for my kids, especially the twins. I went back to work before the twins were even 6 weeks. I think I went back at 4 weeks. No, I had a C-section with the twins. I went at 6 weeks. And then that was a huge savior for me. I don't see how people can stay home all day, every day with their kids.
It sounds good.
It sounds really good, right? Like, we're going to do this and we're going to ABC.
We're going to be together all day long and I'm just going to be mother of the fucking year. And then you're in it and you're just like,
it's like,
I need out. I just need an hour out.
You don't get a call in sick. You're like, oh, I'm sick, so I'm not going to take care of you today.
Even when I have a day off of work, I would drop my kids right off at their daycare.
And the kids don't give when you're sick. They don't give 2 shits when you're sick. They don't like, oh, mom's sick. Okay, we're gonna leave her alone. No, you still gotta deal with their ass sick.
I don't think I would have survived being. Now that they're older, I'm like, okay, I could so be like a stay-at-home mom now, right? Because you know. They're older. They're not here all day. Like, I can get them ready for the bus and clean house. Hell yeah, I can do this. Because babies, no. And and I used to grow. I felt so bad because I even we all know this. I struggle to wake up, and I've been like this since I was young. So a lot of times, like, I would get up and I would feed my kids, and then I'd put them in like a bouncy seat or something, and I'd fall asleep on the couch. And I'd wake up and be like, oh shit, like, where's is my kid okay? Okay, it's in the playpen. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I've done it before where one of my kids has fallen down the stairs because I fell asleep. That's just how tired I was. That's just how exhausted I was from. I couldn't imagine, like, just all day, all night.
It's a lot.
I would go insane. I
was only home, of course, with the first one, my first daughter. I was only home with her, for the 2 weeks, because 1 week she was in the hospital. But with Breezy, it was a little bit different because I was at home for about 5 months, and then I had to go to work. I couldn't be at home anymore. I was going fucking bananas, and she was very needy child. She wanted to be on me. Love it. Kids love you. Okay, they love you and they want to be on you. And she was breastfeeding. You need to go back to work, and it was rough. The breastfeeding part, trying to go back to work, and the wet, nipple, because the even though you have the pads and stuff, all of that, my boobs used to fill up super fucking filled with milk, and it was just crazy. But with her, I was so terrified from what happened with my first child that I had like literally PTSD the whole time. It was not a happy time. Like, it should have been a more happier time to just love her and be with her. But I was always terrified that I was gonna go to her crib and she was gonna be gone. So that was my, first year with her was horrible, And I do think, like, the postpartum depression, unfortunately, we do make people feel shitty. We're not vocal. And, Breezy went through that. And we would have this thing where I told her, if you get to feeling like that, you call me. And I would take her phone call at work, and I would just talk to her, and we would talk it out, and that would be it. I feel like you gotta have some type of support system, regardless to if you feel like you're ready. Because just like we're talking with Gigi today, it's so much different when this plan that you make of, and she did. I remember, like, she was trying to have a kid for a while. It was a while, like, all right, this baby's gonna come, and it is so different from the thought of what life is gonna be, and then when the child comes, it's a big.
Well, what do you think is like the biggest myth that you thought about motherhood? That, like, once you had your baby and it was like, they fucking lied to me. Like, this isn't how it was supposed to be. Like, I feel like I was, like, lied to. Like, this is what TV commercials look like.
I don't know. I used to follow people on Instagram, who had kids and their stories and stuff like that. So I kind of had this. I knew it wasn't going to be like. I don't think I really looked at the myths of things. I thought I had it in my head how I was going to picture having my baby, and this is how it's going to be. And it completely turned out the opposite. I thought I was going to have a girl. That's all I kept picturing. I was going to have a little girl. So I was surprised I had a boy, and it was completely opposite. So, but I didn't think of. No, I didn't even really think of like how pregnancy, how my pregnancy happened, like what I thought how my pregnancy was going to be, like, I'm going to be this big belly, that's it, blah, blah, but I don't know. No.
Because weren't you even like having like sciatic pain and stuff?
Yeah, I was extremely anemic. I had carpal tunnel. I was getting blood. I had to get iron fusions.
Yeah.
They were scared because they thought that if I were to give birth or C-section, I was going to bleed out because my blood counters, I forget, was really low. So it was just pretty much keeping an eye on all of that and everything. I was depressed a little during my pregnancy too. See, I battled depression. I think depression runs in my family. I'm very open about it. I talk to girls or anybody who comes to me and say, I feel like, girl, I'm an open book about how I've been through. I have thought about, I have been suicidal. I'm not gonna lie about that. I have. I haven't thought about that since having Bellamy, because this boy is pretty much for me my lifesaver. I cannot even talk about hurting myself whatsoever because of my baby. But before, I'm not gonna lie, my partner that, Cole I've been with, we went through some shit, bad shit. I got pregnant first before I had Bellamy, and I had a miscarriage because of the shit that we were going through. And I thought of ending my life then because it was that bad. It was that bad. At first, I lost the baby that I wanted it. I wanted to be a mom. I lost it. He was cheating on me, so I was just pretty much heartbroken because he was cheating on me while I was watching this damn kid. So it was a lot, and I fought through it because I feel like obviously I was meant to, because Bellamy wouldn't be here if I didn't.
Right.
But I put up with that shit again. Hell no. Hell no. I've never ever put myself through that. But I cannot never judge a woman because love is hard when you really, really love somebody, and it's hard to just let go.
Mm-hmm.
Bellamy though, he comes first. I'll let this dude go.
Now the tables have turned, buddy.
Yes, but before, it's hard. I can never judge a woman because you see these people why would you stick up? Why would you be with that man who put you through blah blah blah? Because women don't think about. We don't think with that. I invested my time with this dude. I'm raising this kid. We got a place together. So yeah, it's hard for me to just let go because that's my time that I invested in him. So yeah, and it's hard. It's hard for a woman to be like, I give props to a woman who can be like, all right, bye. Because I wish I could. Be like, bye. But my mind don't do that. My mind, that's not how my mind thinks. My mind wants to keep fighting. So
I think it's easier to assume what we would do in a situation until we're in the situation.
Mm-hmm.
It's easier to be like, oh, if that was me, I would leave that motherfucker. If that was me, fuck that. It's different when you are the person in that situation, because Breezy has said the same thing where she would judge people for certain things, and then until she faced it herself was like, fuck, I was so wrong for judging someone.
it is.
And it's crazy without that self-awareness. One thing you have is the ability, though, I will tell you, even at your age, is to look back. I won't take credit for that, you guys, that you have the ability to look at and have that self-awareness. That's very hard to do, to have a self-awareness and see the things that you can improve on or do, or know that this is something that I struggle with, and be open. And I do feel like we need to talk about a lot of these things, depression and things. And, that's something I talk about on all these shows. We kind of always discuss it because it's something that I always have gone through, and suicidal things like that. And you just don't understand it unless you're in it in the moment and feel it and are going through it. So, as far as young mothering and just becoming a mom and a switch to be a mom, yes, and not to say not to have a child, because I think they're beautiful, and I think, having your children are beautiful, but you definitely have to understand, and I think that's something that you learned, is that it will definitely change your life. It is life-changing. And as a mom, especially with breastfeeding, your time gets cut. You are no longer yours anymore. You are here for that child now. And now it's like the child needs you, and they need you all the time in that first year, constantly needing. And it's a big switch. It
is.
I give anyone credit who's had this, super experience with the babies, that just had this, non-emotional or non-traumatic.
One thing I feel like as definitely we need to be open to the real of what causes depression, what triggers your depression. I kind of what triggers when I'm angry or my depression is like people that I love or close. Any stranger comes up to me and call me a bitch or whatever, I don't care. But if it's family and someone I'm really close to, my feelings will get hurt very quickly. And that triggers my depression. My family kind of triggers my depression sometimes. My partner, my damn stepdaughter. And my mom, and anybody who just pretty much talks to me and just tells me, it does hurt my feelings, I think we just need to figure out what triggers our emotions, what triggers, what can we do when we come home to shoes in the living room? That triggers it. Simple shit like that. It triggers it. Why is there shoes in the living room? Why is this there and there? So we do need to really hold ourselves accountable for that. Because sometimes you can prevent it. Yeah, shoes is one of the things that's going to trigger you. That when you walk in the house, don't even bother with it.
I think sometimes that stems from our own stuff of needing control in certain situations, and sometimes it's not even control. Sometimes it's just the change. That's why I was bringing up the changes. So many changes in your life, and you just want something to be normal, something to stay, something to not change. And when it does, when it's constant and things aren't where they're supposed to be, you feel lost, you feel out of place. Very hard to have a normalcy in the first couple years with a child, because diapers and everything is all over the fucking place. I don't care how much you clean. I don't care how much you straighten your house. It's just like a whirlwind, a hurricane. It's like every so many hours.
Right.
So, I think it's just having that and making sure you have a support system. So for the young mothers coming up, what kind of guidance or, what would you tell them?
Just know that it's going to be hard for you to fall in love. You're going to be a whole new person. Like we said, that you're not going to be the same. Definitely reach out. I think that's a lot of things that strong women feel like I don't need to reach out. Reach out. Ask for help is a big thing. I try to do that in the beginning because obviously it's my baby. I got that. But when I did need that times, like I would call up Cole's mom, can you come get Bellamy? Or even his Cole's sister was very helpful. She got pregnant at the same time with him. So we were big, like we're still right now a good support for each other because luckily we both got pregnant around the same time. So when she's going through something, she'll call me. I call her. Definitely I call her. I think I call her more than she calls me. But she's a big support too. Like I feel like don't cut off people because you feel like you're going to be a mom and I don't have, it's completely different. I feel like don't do that. I still get and connect with my friends, even though, I have a child and stuff like that. Like, don't cut people out of your life. Just, definitely reach out.
Right.
Like, and make time. Make time for yourself. Make time for yourself. Even if it's just like going for a 2-hour bubble bath, I can do it. Make time for yourself. I cannot stress that enough. Do that.
I think that's one of the big things is to know that it is okay to demand that time for yourself, that you're not a horrible mom because you're like, I'm going to go fucking crazy if you don't give me this hour right now. But I think we all go through that of feeling guilty to request that, like if we're not allowed that. Even asking for help, it's kind of like, well, I got to do this. But you're always, that's the thing. We always have support around us should we just ask, right? And letting ourselves be vulnerable in that state to ask. I think you guys, and Oracle, I'll let you say whatever you want to say, but anyone watching this, it's a young mom coming up. I feel big on support. You got to understand that you always have support, but no one knows what you're going through unless you say so, right? No one knows that. So if you just stay silent and you're kind of going through shit and you're just there, no one's going to know. So speak out and not be afraid. I feel like if you're afraid to talk to some people, then you might not be the right people in your life, and find the ones that are supportive, the ones that are loving, the ones that will talk to you, that will see through and not judge you for something that you're going through in this moment, that will have that understanding and compassion. And we kind of talk about that on a lot of our shows of just finding your tribe or your support system that is a real support system at the end of the day, right?
I think I want to say one thing. Like I said, I battle depression. I hate going to a doctor and telling them about what I battle because I feel like instantly they want to put me on medication. I don't do medications. I hate medications. If you can find someone that you can just talk to, or even finding a meditation class, or finding like getting a gym membership and going to exercise and get that frustration out. If you feel like you're not that type of person to go to a doctor because you feel like instantly they're going to judge you and want to put you and say you crazy or take your child away because you're feeling this way, because like I said, I felt that way about my baby, wanting to hurt him, doing that. necessarily care for the doctors, but I did talk to people like my friends, and I was even open to Cole, even though Cole didn't really understand. But I was open to him. I told him how I was feeling. I talked to my friends about that. So if you can find someone definitely who's not going to judge you, and if you want to reach out to me, that's completely fine too. I don't judge you whatsoever. But if you just need someone to talk to you and listen to you, that's, like I said, I never care for doctors, their medications. I just and just talk, talk to my family, talk to my friends. Was real with them. Like, this is how I'm feeling.
Right.
I think my biggest thing is I don't feel like anyone, especially first-time mothers, don't ever expect your pregnancy or your kids to be like somebody else's. I feel like I've seen so many people have kids. I mean, I had friends who loved being pregnant, who glowed, who just carried it so beautifully. And I was like her, I had the blood issues. I was so tired. I didn't want to get up. I don't even know how I got up. I hated being pregnant. And I didn't even get big until I was like 7.5, 8 months. Nobody could tell, but I still hated it. I stayed sick. I threw up. I didn't understand it. Even after I had my kid, I started comparing myself to my friends whose kids would come home and sleep through the night. Or I had a friend whose daughter didn't even wake up until she woke up. And I'm like, my kid is up at 6 o'clock, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Like, what? Like, I don't get it. Or, I had colicky kids. A couple of them were colicky. I have friends whose babies never fucking cried. So I don't ever compare yourself or think that you're less than a mother, or your kid is, I don't want to say your kid is less than, or your kid is just isn't as smart or as up as the other one is, it's nothing is going to be the same. None of your two kids are going to be the same.
Nope.
If you start doing it and you're like, yeah, I'm going to be this kind of mom and this is going to happen, and it don't work, throw that shit out the fucking window. If you're like, I'm going to feed my baby all organic, and I'm going to make their food, and I'm going to make baby food, and if that shit
I was making his food in the beginning. I was.
Right. If that shit gets tired, throw that shit out the window and give that baby some instant mashed potatoes. Like, it's better. Whatever would go. I too, even as a young mom, if you have to feed your kid, give them a bath, feed them, and put them in their crib and let them cry while you go get a moment to take a bath, while you get a moment to stand outside and breathe fresh air, while you get a moment to clean your fucking bedroom. If you have to turn your music on to drown out them cries, so fucking be it. Do what the fuck you have to do. If it don't work, throw that shit out the window. Don't try to keep making that shit work. Okay, just let it go.
We're laughing because she was the organic food. I'm gonna process. I'm gonna boil it. I'm gonna cook it, and it's just like, okay.
I was too. With my first two.
I was like, fuck this.
Oh, my kid was never going to have McDonald's. They were never going to have juice. I remember when I was younger, I ran out of formula, right? And I had no money. I don't know where my baby daddy is, probably at the casino losing all the money, had the car, couldn't get a hold of him, but I had no milk. If I didn't make some Kool-Aid and put it in a bottle, and he was 11 months, and I was like, oh, shit. But it is what it is. Like, and I thought I was going to do the organic thing too. And I was like, this takes too long. This takes too long. Like, I'm at school, then I go to work and I come home. And now I got to take an hour to prepare food for a whole week, for daycare, it just didn't work. That kid was hungry. We got McDonald's. Like, it happened. Like, shit happens. It happens.
Moms, because this is a generation where internet and social media is a big thing. Stay away from those perfect ass social media moms that be posting. Please stay away from them.
It's all for the show, right? You get it now.
Don't do it. Don't look at those perfect moms who posted pictures of their pregnant and everything, and at the beach on a cruise and all that are the perfect moms who take a picture with their baby and just all makeup and shit. Because I'm not. I don't even know how they do it. So avoid all of that.
No,
Wait,
I
all
didn't do any of that.
holler. If anything, go look for the real moms like this.
Yep.
Real, real ass, the real ass.
Everything. Like, no. And then the first 2 weeks I had cloth diapers, and I was like, fuck shit.
Right.
I'm not doing this shit. No, I'm not. Give me them disposables. Like,
So I made a decision that no, just I was gonna do disposable because it was just like, yeah, no. And my mom was like one of those moms that like to, well, we use cloth diapers. And I'm like, good for fucking you. You know what I mean? Like you want kudos because you fucking wash that shit out by hand. Like you want kudos and shit.
that was my grandparents. I had to be like, well, great for you.
Right. Like, okay, and I have a diaper genie. Now what? It's like,
I'm like, I am not scraping shit out of a piece of cloth and then rinsing it and washing it out. No.
okay, we're not even gonna go there because breastfeeding, the shit is totally different from a bottle fed, from formula fed child. Shit is totally fucking different. That shit is disgusting. Breastfeeding shit from a baby is disgusting. We'll just put it out there for the moms that don't know. Get ready for it because that shit is horrible. I couldn't even imagine cleaning the cloth diaper after that. Like, no.
You know what? I lost that too. I thought that I was going to do the cloth. You know, why not? I asked somebody who was on the registry, oh, we could do this. Yeah, no.
Yeah. My grandma
Girl gets you some diapers.
You ever see the commercial where they're showing like the parents in the beginning, they have all these bags and strollers and shit, and then they're like kid 2, they ain't even got half of that shit no more. It's just like, because in the beginning you're just like, yeah, I'm gonna do this and I want to do this, and you have all these fucking bright ideas, and then life happens and you're like, yeah, fuck all of this shit. I'm too tired for this shit. I can't even fucking remember my name. Like how the fuck am I gonna remember half of this list of shit I need to do, right?
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna start to end this. I wanted to just thank you so much for coming up here and just having some real last conversation about life and motherhood, and just trying to have it all together even when you fucking don't, right? And it's okay. One of the biggest things that we say is it's okay not to be okay. And we have to make this shit normal. And we have to talk about this more, because I think so many of us go through this silently because we're afraid. What are people going to think? What are people going to say? And I think it's shitty the way that our society is. So you guys don't feel like that. Even my inbox is always open. And I tell you guys that my inbox is always, especially when it comes to depression, suicide, things like that. I can relate to that on so many levels. So if you don't feel like you have someone, we don't have a hotline just yet. There is a hotline, but and I can't remember off the top of my head, but there is a hotline should you need one. But don't be ashamed, especially myself, any one of my approved readers in the group, any one